I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's our regular meeting for October the 7th, and it is 7:01. I believe we have a resolution.
Moved by Carol Keel, second by Harold Levine. Be it resolved that Council for the Township of Killu, Haggerty, and Richards hereby adopts the agenda for the regular council meeting of October 7th, 2025 as presented.
All those in favor? Carried. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of this committee and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. And please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. My mayor's address. A couple items that I represented the municipality on. September 24th was county council meeting with development, property, and operations committee meetings. And also on September 29th, there was a going away function for Lynn Postel, which was really well received and a good turnout, and it went over very well. Now to another point. I want to be clear with residents about what my directives are and what they are not. They are straightforward administrative measures that cover how the mayor and council work with the CAO, how agendas are prepared, how meetings are live streamed, and how correspondence is handled. They are not unusual or extreme. These are the same practices that many municipalities already follow. There are clear rules that define how the mayor, council, and CAO work together. The Municipal Act or Procedural Bylaw, as aligned with the Act, and Ontario Regulation 530-22, set out these responsibilities. The mayor provides direction to the CAO on administrative matters, while council sets the township's policies, programs, and budgets. This structure ensures township business is carried out legally, efficiently, and in the best interest of residents. The directives simply put those rules into practice and reinforce transparency and accountability across all administrative processes. Just as important, these directives do not change tax rates, budgets, or council's authority to make decisions. Council remains fully responsible for passing policies and budgets. I want residents to know that I'm not blocking council's projects or advancing personal ones. Our focus is to ensuring the township follows the law, covering every T, dotting every I, and doing so in the open. Council's vital role is to focus on broader policy, setting priorities, addressing infrastructure, supporting community services, and ensuring financial stewardship. Administrative procedures, staff direction, and agenda management are not political questions. They are governed by law. Following these laws protects everyone, the township, council, staff, and the public. Our current governance model is more than 25 years old. Times and expectations have changed, and our residents now rightly demand greater transparency. I invite both council and residents to look to our neighbors, North Algona Wilberforce, Bon Cheer Valley, and Renfrew County Council, all who live stream their meetings and operate under similar standards. That is the direction our township is taking. Change isn't always easy, but resisting transparency and sound process is not in the township's best interest. These directives strengthen our local government and bring KHR up to the standards of openness, accountability, and professionalism that residents deserve, and that provincial law expects. Unfortunately, following a recent council meeting, I was followed home and later discovered a threatening note left in my mailbox. The matter was immediately reported to the Ontario Provincial Police, and a formal report has been filed. While such incidents are deeply troubling, they will not deter me from fulfilling my responsibilities. They reinforce my resolve to continue serving the people of Kildu, Haggerty, and Richards with transparency, integrity, and an unwavering respect for the rule of law. I will continue to uphold the Municipal Act, our procedural bylaw, as aligned with the Act, and Ontario Regulation 530-22, unless directed otherwise by the province of Ontario through the appropriate channels. Our township will continue to operate transparently, responsibly, and within the law. That's the standard our community deserves, and that's the standard I intend to uphold. Does anyone have any pecuniary financial interest? Having seen none. And we'll move on to our delegation, Charity. And for those that don't remember Charity, Charity worked at our visitor information booth.
Is there a quick? No. I'm facing the wrong direction. Welcome all. My name is Charity Parisian. I did grow up in Killaloe, and I set off to become an environmental technician. Excuse me. I have a co-presentee. Next slide, please. Today, I'm here because on August 1st, the Ministry of Natural Resources announced that they would be spraying an aerial spray of glyphosate over some of the county forests, the Crown lands of Renfrew County. Since then, the spray actually did it did occur, and it started on September 1st and was completed by mid-month. My co-presentee isn't actually her. Her name is Stacey Foley, but I would like to acknowledge her presence because she is a holistic nutritionist, and she is extremely well versed in everything to do with the gut and as I said, holistic nutrition, what we put into our bodies, and as above, so below, and what's in us is also outside of us, which includes nature. So the aerial spray that did occur, it was based on the being approved by Canada. And so I would just like to acknowledge that everything that we see, hear, and touch has two sides. But life is not, it's not two-sided. And I think as the last few years have showed us, everything has a good side, it has a bad side, but there's some space in the middle, and we're currently trying to walk that in many more ways than one, in leadership, in politics, and our finances, but as also our economy and the environment. Next slide, please. So Renfrew County is the largest county by area in all of the province, and the Crown land takes up 53% of this. So glyphosate is a basic herbicide. It's used for competing vegetation, mainly to prevent things like hardwood trees, maple, birch, oak, but obviously most of you being here also understand that raspberries grow wild. They grow wild in our backyards. They cover up those wonderful shrubs that we actually want. But they do overtake everything. And so the main goal is to encourage faster conifer growth, mainly because conifers have the biggest GDP, which means that they have the biggest revenue. So even though forestry companies do use all sorts of trees, their biggest take back and their claim for profitability really comes from the boost of conifers. So the other thing is that herbicides are obviously a lot cheaper than just hiring brushing crews or using other alternatives. They also don't have to collaborate with other teams, so it's kind of easy. You go in, you get out, and it's clean, but it does have its implications. So I would like to talk about carbon sequestration. So what that is essentially the earth breathing. As we know, we let out CO2 when we breathe, and that trees, they absorb that. And so that's carbon sequestration. Trees take and use all of this CO2 by taking in on the foliage. They put it into the bark of each species, and they also take it in and put it in on their roots. Sorry, do you mind? Yeah, it is a little hard to focus sometimes. Hi, baby. Excuse me. So trees absorb the CO2, they store it in the wood, and then it goes down into the soil. So these soil microbes, everything from these little teeny tiny things you can't see, they're eating, they're decomposing, but what's happening is they stay underground for decades. And so all of this carbon is being stored. But what happens is it's actually being disrupted when it's sprayed. So obviously, the whole intent of the spray is to kill. It's killing that competing vegetation, but in turn, it's also killing everything that is helping with this sequestration. So instead of actually preserving this carbon, it's being let back out as CO2. And for those of us that are environmentalists, understand that for climate change purposes, we're trying to decrease our CO2. We're not trying to encourage its presence here. So this is nature's way of breathing in CO2. And when it's disrupted, Earth does lose its breath. So, and it's no different than in burning. When we burn wood, we're letting back out CO2. But when we have an active biodiverse forest, everything is being stored. Next slide, please. So the risks to the environment are honestly huge. And once it's sprayed, there is no going back. We've heard about the things in our house being forever chemicals. Herbicides and pesticides are really no different. So they do contaminate watersheds and soil microbes. When it is reached into the water, these are very delicate systems and they don't go back the way they once were. When glyphosate even hits the surface of the water, everything is being absorbed. And remember that initial reason, the intent behind the spray is to kill. And it's killing aquatic plants the exact same way it's going to be hitting those competitive species. And just to kind of top it off, the concentration cannot be it's not the same everywhere. It can't be displaced evenly by a helicopter, and so the tops of these trees are getting the brunt of it. It's not going to be the forest floor. But what does hit the forest floor is going to be contaminating these watersheds. And even with a buffer zone, even with using the label instructions, that's very, very particular to do the humidity and to do the wind. And also you cannot do this in a drought. And I would like to ask all of you to think back to the conditions around September 1st and even August when there was a public outcry asking that this not be sprayed. So there is a long-term persistence in these ecosystems and it weakens the biodiversity. Even though they do a spray and it comes back, it's not coming back the same. And the case study, I only really gave you guys 2 case studies, and one was to show that it's not just about, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's also showing that, there is a risk of breast cancer. But the one I would like to discuss is that glyphosate does not just persist for 1 year, or as some of the companies around here would like to tell you, it's gone next year. It is not. These studies are showing that 12 years after the fact, that is still found in the roots of these plants, and they don't grow the same. And anyone that has sprayed herbicides on their apple trees, you know that the tree that you started with isn't the tree that you're still harvesting from right now. Next slide, please. So just a quick little breakdown of the aquatic ecosystems. So we're talking about that carbon sequestration. So what happens is these aquatic plants are dying. The decomposition depletes the oxygen. And for any of you that don't know, fish need oxygen in the water. So do frogs, every amphibians, invertebrates, they all need this. And so there's something called dissolved oxygen levels. And so what we're doing is it's no different. You're reducing the photosynthesis that's happening below the water. So there's fewer plants, and that also means that there's less oxygen replenishment. And guess what likes oxygen replenishment? Algae. So with that, also the turbidity, which means your ability to see, is decreased. So with that, herbicide runoff makes water cloudy, and it worsens that oxygen loss because you're not getting that same amount of sunshine. The toxic additives, so there's something called surfactants. So when they're spraying glyphosate, they're not just directly spraying glyphosate. As an example, the company here for Renfrew County, Ottawa Valley Forest, used something called Timberline 360, which is actually a mixture of glyphosate among other things. When asked last night at the Petawawa Town Council meeting, they did not know whether or not surfactants or binders were used in this product. And I'd like to point out that as a sustainable licensee for Renfrew County, their job is to know every little thing about risk assessment. It includes the watersheds, it includes the land. And I would like to ask all of the counselors and all of the public and everyone that is watching this to please, you don't necessarily need to watch the presentation, but please watch the questions that were asked to this company and to this licensee. Because a lot of the time there is another spokesperson that's going around and doing these meetings, but these direct questions to this specific forester, he is the person that is responsible. And I like that you talked about accountability, Dave, because we're at this fork in the road where accountability matters in everything, especially the environment, and especially because we are at a pivotal time in history, and we will look back on this. Next slide, please. So, as I said, glyphosate can also lead to algae blooms. I left this more as a read for the counselors just to kind of go past, but I have 15 minutes, so we'll skip this slide. So, from one contaminated waterway to a community crisis, we all know that water is the filter of everything that has to do with life in general. So our ecosystem breaks down. When one pond or river collapses, everything around it does. So what happens is the air is sprayed and it percolates down into the soil. And we've all picked up sand, the nitty-gritty sand in our hands, and we know it rolls right out, right? But what happens with clay? Clay, it sticks to your hands. Things don't move through clay. But what they're spraying is pine forest, and pines thrive in soil like sand. Sandy clay, or not sandy clay, sand. And so the glyphosate is being sprayed on these trees. And whether it's irrigated or it's precipitation, the water that is bringing all of this pesticide down to the ground is going to be seeping into the soil. The soil affects all those little microbes that I was talking about, but it also affects the water because it percolates right down into our groundwater supply. And all of the studies, and even the ones that were shown by Mr. Muzzy, did show that there is a low dose still affecting everything. And whether he says low dose and I say high dose, it doesn't matter. There is a dose. And I would like to quote him when he said, it is toxic. It is poisonous like our coffee and like alcohol and like cigarettes. But that being said, being at this pivotal time, knowing that we need to be accountable and that we need to be sustainable. Renfrew County is known for logging, and we can really be trendsetters here. So the human health risk, glyphosate contamination leads to certain cancers, especially non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's an endocrine disruptor. If you've ever saw a child laugh, remember laughing when you were a kid and feel like it's not the same anymore? It's because there's tons of endocrine disruptors in our food. And glyphosate has that same attribute. And it also causes reproductive harm. The community cost could be safe drinking water. It becomes scarce, tourism declines, and local fisheries die off. And I mean, not only that, but these animals that are also in this forest, they're coming and going. They don't read signs, and we're hunting them. We're fishers. We're avid anglers, hunters. We forage our berries. We make medicines, soaps. We have tons and tons of farmers markets here where people are giving themselves to organic products. The health of one waterway reflects the health of an entire community. Next slide, please. I just wanted everyone to see that back please to the graph, Yeah, to the graph. The herbicide sales in Canada has only went up from 1990s. It has not went down. Next, please. Next, please. Inside Renfrew County forests. So the bird that you see on the screen here, it is a Cape Way warbler. For those of you that don't know, Ontario is the funnel for all migratory birds in Canada. These birds do not know that these trees have been sprayed, but they are specifically meant to eat all of these little insects on pine trees. Just as an example to show you that all of this does matter. I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to be speedy, guys. So logging, we have been known for logging in Renfrew County. It's a part of who we are. 53% of the county's land base is crown land and is managed by Renfrew County Forest specifically as the licensee, but also 18 local companies that work as sawmills or with direct products as forestry. Next slide. The green spaces are the crown land here in Renfrew County. Next slide. So I'm coming with alternatives. You already did hear them. I'm not going to break them down in the same way I did before. But the first one is scarcification. Preparing the soil. You till it up the same way a farmer tills. You make nice big mounds and you plant those seedlings. It gives them a proper advantage so that they can grow. And the reforestation, they can be hitting over 3.7 million seedlings per year. And the survival rate after 5 years is 90%. And it's the same amount of brush clearing that we do here in Renfrew County. Next slide. The next is sheep grazing partnerships. I don't need to explain to you how sheep work. We all know that the sheep eats they eat the competing species. They do not have any issues. They do not eat our pine seedlings, but they do add rich nutrients to the soil, and they do not cause disease. They go in, they have the vets visit the farm 2 weeks prior to being on site, and I've been in contact with many companies now in Alberta that have success with these programs. The alternative 3 creates tons of jobs here for our economy and is manual brushing crews. I'd like to touch on the fact that there's grant funding here. I can't remember what it's called. I did forget my notepad, excuse me. That gives free education using some of the programming at Algonquin College. And we do have access to that here in Renfrew County and do use it through private businesses. So manual brushing crews creates lots of jobs. It's as you hear it, it's manual brushing. And it keeps money circulating here in the Ottawa Valley. The alternative 4 is mulching. This is the one I want you to pay the most attention to. The mulching equipment clears the brush and prevents regrowth. And it creates significant jobs. It leaves all of the nutrients on the floor. And it's important because Ben Oakham's and Sons received a $5.5 million grant for a biomass boiler system. They plan on doing this here. They've already started doing this here. But making sure that what we're doing is sustainable and is ethical and is moral is the basis and foundation of what we should be focusing on here. And that's what it is. The Skills Development Fund for the amount of work that is just staggering, to quote Jeff Muzzy, that third generation forester, who I have, by the way, very deep respect for. Next slide, please. The success stories lie within the BC and Alberta. Quebec has had a wonderful, thriving forestry industry since 2001, and they've done it with rejecting chemicals. Next slide. How we can become allies is sharing the responsibility of this forest. It creates jobs and economy, builds strong public support, and it creates leadership, honest leadership. Next slide, please. What I'm asking of council is to support the alternatives, the manual brushing and the mulching and the sheep grazing, to support the petitions that we have already submitted to the province and to our federal leaders, and to please send a moratorium and have a proper ban with the AMO. We need to stick together. There has been over 80, no, we're at 108 now municipalities that have joined in on this. So encouraging the county of Renfrew, who also sprays our trails where we walk our dogs, where children pick flowers and we run and we play. We do not need this herbicide. Next slide, please. The closing messages. Healthy forests do mean healthy people. We know that what's inside of us is also what is outside of us. Uniting communities, and also this is happening across Canada. We're not just leaders here. We are people. We are trying to raise kids. We are trying to plant seeds for tomorrow, and we will not have fruit for tomorrow if we don't plant those seeds today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Charity. Very passionate. Does any member of council have any questions for Charity?
No, you're awesome. That was brilliant.
Sorry, I talked too much for 15 minutes.
You just came under the wire.
Perfect.
No. Anybody from council?
No, it's very just.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna go fetch my daughter.
I know, council, you've had 6 weeks ago since there was a request for a resolution. After this information, do you want more time to think, or should we give direction to staff to come up with a resolution? What's your pleasure? Need more time to think? So, direction would be to have staff to come back with a resolution for our next meeting. Everybody okay with that? Thank you. And now we're going to move on to minutes of previous meetings. Motions.
Moved by Bill Smith, moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Bill Smith. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 16th, 2025. Open and closed sessions. Understanding closed minutes remain confidential.
All those in favor? Carried. And next,
Moved by moved by Carl Keel, second by Harold Levine. Motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of September 9th, 2025, open session.
all those in favor? Carried.
Moved by Harold Levine, second by Carl Keel. Motion to approve the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment of September 23rd, 2025, open session.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Under meetings, please note that October 14th will be a meeting of Committee of the Whole. I think that was the only adjustment. And now we're going to move any reports. No accounts, severances, committee reports. Now we'll move on to correspondence. So we will be calling out the person who wrote the article or the correspondence and the subject matter. And we'll start. Steve and Kim Grayfell, Kickley, Canada. Steve and Kim Grayfell. Glyphosate spraying. City of Dryden. Renfrew County and District Health Unit. Steve and Kim Grayfell. Who's really flooding Canada's councils with misinformation? Municipality of Brighton. Support for electoral reform. Marty Lagaza. Upcoming mandate review of Canada Post could affect jobs and services in your community. And there is a resolution on the back of that. Council, do you want to do anything with that resolution or no? I haven't seen nothing. Lynn Folkstra, strong mayor powers.
Been requested that this week letter be read aloud.
Yeah. And accordance with directive number 6, correspondence will not be read out loud, and plus our provincial bylaw or provisional bylaw.
Does it say that?
In our procedural bylaw.
Our taxpayers are low growth. Nostalgic.
It's
like us. But seriously.
no, it's been read, it's been distributed, it's in public information.
No public information wasn't read.
Public information, everyone has received it. Yeah, well, this information is supposed to be posted on our website. Did you find it?
Show.
I'm not sure what you're looking for.
That correspondence can't be read out loud.
Doesn't say that. It just doesn't give direction whether it can or cannot.
Well, I thought I saw it.
The correspondence and communication states every communication, including a petition designed to be presented to council, shall be signed, shall be legibly written and printed, and shall not contain any obscene or improper matter or language that's filed with the CAO clerk. Correspondence, including names and addresses, addressed to council or directed to a public meeting, become part of the public record and may be published in a report, agenda, or minutes. Presentations, so that's all it says about correspondence and communications. A presentation is defined as a verbal or visual provision of information to council by an individual, community group, or organization. The ceremonial presentation is defined as the giving of an award, prize, or other form of recognition by the mayor at council meetings. A person or group wishing to make a presentation to council shall provide the CAO clerk, treasurer, or designate with written notice no later than noon on Thursday before council or committee meetings prior to the meeting. Such request shall state the specific nature of the matter and be presented in supporting material and inclusion on the agenda. It goes on to talk about presentations and
Yeah, I also don't see anything in here, because I have a copy of it right here.
Council had this discussion at our meeting on, I believe it was October 2nd, last Thursday.
Yep.
And it was decided by council that when a community member asked for their letter to be read aloud, it would be read aloud.
And your directive number 6 was determined by our municipal solicitor to not be,
Be unlawful
Yeah.
outside of the law.
yes. And we're following the law. We're not following your directive, sir.
Well, according to my directive, that's the way it is.
But that your directive is not the law. We've been told by our municipal solicitor we should not be doing them. Our CAO has also been told. You've also received that letter from our municipal
Yep.
solicitor and
Yep.
you've read it? Yes.
And so if that's the case, then our clerk will read it out.
Then pardon me?
Our clerk will read out the that document.
Dear Mayor Mayville, I feel it's important to explain why I can no longer support your leadership as mayor of our township, despite having wholeheartedly endorsed you during your campaign and since your election in 2022. My support first faltered during the KHR budget process this past April when I received messages from concerned residents regarding disparaging remarks about councillors and particularly our CAO. These communications troubled me as they showed attempts to influence the budget process and encourage letters backing your interpretation of the budget, especially around kill, lose water and sewer issues. The involvement in the tone of these messages raised concerns among several individuals who shared them with me. At the time, I chose not to act or share this information. In retrospect, I regret this decision, especially in light of what's transpired at the council meeting of August 20th, 2025. What is the township's policy on councillor, mayor, family involvement in municipal matters, and how does council ensure transparency when potential conflicts may exist? Currently, every KHR councillor has called for your resignation and expressed a lack of confidence in your leadership. Recovering from this seems unlikely. Even those who previously supported you are now voicing strong opposition, especially in response to your proposal to grant yourself strong mayor powers, which goes against the wishes of elected officials, residents, and ratepayers. While I understand you feel mistreated by some team members, suspending our democratic process and undermining councillors who disagree with you is not justified. As someone with experience as a hockey coach and GM, I would have expected more resilience. Even in hockey, players who do not play fair ultimately end up in the penalty box, hurting not only themselves, but also putting their entire team at risk of losing. You often acknowledged during your campaign that the role of mayor would be challenging if elected and that you were up for it. Apparently, you're not up for it at all. Ultimately, your election reflected more of an indictment of the previous mayor's tenure than an endorsement of your leadership. If that wasn't clear before, it's becoming clearer by the day as opposition to your leadership continues to grow. I do not support strong mayor powers in KHR. I do not support overturning the unanimous May 6th, 2025 council resolution to reject strong mayor powers for KHR. A foundation of trust is essential for effective teamwork and decision-making. Recent actions, such as canceling votes and by extension, silencing our voices, have led to a serious breach in trust. It becomes difficult to expect anyone to sit around the table and collaborate after such events, especially when people feel they have been disregarded and left unsupported. Given the current circumstances, it's difficult to see how trust and effective collaboration can be restored, just as a team cannot win when a key player consistently putting themselves and by extension the team in the penalty box. Our township risks further division and setbacks if we continue down this path. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to consider stepping down as mayor. Regards, Len Blockstra, Hillview resident, concerned KHR taxpayer.
Thank you. Township of Woolwich. Bill C-61. City of Kitchener, postage. Francis Murphy, strong mayor directives. Solicitor General. Annual billing statement. County of Renfrew, Council and Committee monthly summary. Raymond Henyon, letter to council. EOWC, September newsletter. Office of the Regional Clerk, respecting state emergency of mental health and homelessness. Round Lake Property Association, monthly newsletter. And if anybody has been on the site, and if you haven't, please do go on it. It's outstanding to navigate around. Killu and area pickleball outdoor stats. Pat Pilgrim and Sue Sheridan. Thank you card. Cheryl Gallant. Invitation to a seminar. The County of Renfrew 2025 Warden's Community Service Awards. Another letter from Jan Simpson, Cup W National President. Municipality of Blue Water. Resolution closure or of before and after school programs. There was a resolution for it.
Moved by Harold Levine, second by Bill Smith, whereas on August 19th, 2025, London Bridge Child Care Services announced the closure of all before and after school programs in Huron County, citing staffing shortages. And whereas these closures are creating immediate challenges for families, removing trusted, safe care that many working parents rely on, and whereas the municipality of Blue Water has called on the province to implement successful child care service models used elsewhere in Ontario to address the shortage of early childhood educators. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Township of Killu, Hagerty, Redford supports the municipality of Blue Water's August 19th, 2025 resolution, and that this resolution be forwarded to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Paul Calandra, Minister of Education, and all Ontario municipalities.
Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. And the last one is Town of Newmarket Automated Speed Enforcement. Any unfinished business? I have one item. In regards to the resolution that was brought forward at our last special meeting, I'd like to ask the mover if I could ask them some questions in that regard, and I believe that was Bill.
What was?
Resolution in regards to uh, the for the John Mascarin. I can ask you questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So the scope of the work, does it just as far as the six directives or the entire strong mayor power policy?
I believe the scope is the 6 directives.
Okay.
I'm willing to be corrected by council. My recall is that the directives.
I believe it's for directives 2 through 6.
Two-
Number 1 is committee of the committee of the whole,
committee.
does fall under the
Sure.
strong mayor directive.
Okay. Next question I have, the budget authority. Our budget for legal services, 5,000. We've approximately spent 2,000 already. Is there a budget that we have given for John Mascarin?
No, it will have to be made up from somewhere
Open.
other unspent money in the budget.
Open-ended?
Yep.
And as far as reporting structure, who are we all going to receive the report at the same time, or is there specifically staff receives it before council?
I would assume that our clerk will bring it to council.
Okay. At the same time as the clerk receives it?
At the next meeting, I assume that's how we normally bring information to the table.
Okay.
On occasion, the clerk does forward us confidential information prior to that, but
Oh, great. Okay, and now we're going to new business. Maureen.
Okay, so the first resolution I bring to the table is a request for ministerial review and intervention regarding the use of strong mayor powers in Killaloe, Haggerty, Richards. And the reason for doing this is because our municipal solicitor, as I mentioned before, has said that the use of directives 3 to 6 are unlawful. Number 2 was questionable. We were seeking an opinion through John Mascarin, a second opinion, but he is again a lawyer. And as Dave indicated at our special meeting, he is also only an opinion, even though he's another municipal solicitor. So I think we're at the point where we need some intervention by the minister's office. So that's what this resolution is about.
Moved by Harold Levine, second by Ted Brown, request for a ministerial review and intervention regarding the use of strong mayor powers in Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. Whereas the strong mayor powers granted under the Better Municipal Governance Act 2022 were intended to streamline decision-making in support of provincial priorities such as housing and infrastructure development. And whereas the recent use of strong mayor directives 2 through 6 in Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards have raised serious concern among council members and the public regarding transparency, accountability, procedural fairness, and lawfulness. And whereas these directives have effectively bypassed council deliberation and the established process outlined in the municipality's procedure bylaw, undermining the democratic norms and the collaborative governance model upon which our municipality relies. And whereas the use of strong mayor powers in this context appears to contravene the spirit, if not the letter, of provincial legislation by marginalizing council's input on critical local matters. And whereas there's a pressing need to ensure that strong mayor powers are exercised in a manner consistent with good governance, public trust, and the rights and responsibilities of all elected officials. Therefore, be it resolved that the council of the municipality of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards formally requests that the Honorable Robert Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, review the recent use of the Strong Mayor Directives 2 through 6 in Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, and assess whether they are consistent with the intent and limitations of the enabling legislation, and that the minister be asked to provide clearer guidance on the appropriate use of the Strong Mayor powers to ensure they do not override local procedural bylaws or the democratic process without due cause, and that MPP Billy Deneau and his office be formally requested to advocate on behalf of the residents and council of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards by bringing this matter to the attention of the minister and supporting a thorough ministerial review, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to Honorable Robert Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MPP Billy Deneau, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all Ontario municipalities.
Okay, so that was the first order. Can I continue? Okay.
Are we gonna call for the vote on that resolution? I just want to make a point of order. These resolutions. This resolution was not part of the published agenda package, and to my knowledge, were circulated only this afternoon. According to our procedural bylaw and section 238 of the Municipal Act, new business may only be introduced with the proper notice or by resolution to add the item to the agenda. For transparency and fairness, I request that this item, the ministerial review, be deferred to our next meeting so they can be properly included on the public agenda and circulated in advance. Now,
Now, where was that?
Where?
I did give this in on Monday. It came in Monday afternoon. I did send it in Monday afternoon, just to be clear.
yeah, I only
I
got,
didn't send it in this afternoon.
okay, so anyways, so I'm just making that note of objection. Now carry on with the vote. Let's have the vote.
So I think we're gonna look in our procedural bylaw just to make sure. So what section would that be under? Or is that part of your directive?
238 of the Municipal Act.
Yep.
Oh, I thought we were just gonna vote. Sure, we can if we want.
Well, I just have a question. I apologize. I wasn't at the special meeting. So you're saying that I'm not sure who said it, but John, what's his last name?
Yes,
Mascara.
Karen?
You're saying that that's just his opinion? Is that what I'm getting out of this?
Yes.
That's what was discussed at that meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's what you're saying, that it's just.
Yeah.
And this is the same guy that you wanted us to pay to do training, so we understood it, but now
Yeah,
you
but-
don't believe what he's telling us?
No, I didn't say, but everyone has changed their mind. Imagine, we changed our mind and now we want John Mascara. So we want him to.
We don't want him for training. We want him to straighten you out. That's why we didn't.
Much. So under our motions and voting in our procedural bylaw, it says any motion may be introduced without notice and shall be in writing and include the name of the movers.
So, vote. Do you want a recorded vote?
Yes.
Or, Maureen, do you want a recorded vote?
Sure.
Okay,
Who's asking for the recorded?
I am.
We gotta get better at telling jokes during these downtimes.
Yeah.
Like the little.
Did you?
No, you can't tell jokes.
No, and I do want to say that these are really important to get through at this time because this is such a pressing issue right now. I don't want to wait 2 more weeks. That's why I submitted 2 resolutions yesterday because they're pressing.
fine.
Yeah, and this needs to be dealt with.
Okay, so a recorded vote, Mayor Mayville,
Whether to do the resolution or not. Is that the Question?
Yes for the resolution to carry it, or no, not to carry it?
Yes for the resolution.
Councillor Brown,
Yes.
Councillor Keel,
Yes.
Councillor Levine,
Yes.
Councillor McMillan,
Yes.
Councillor Pakoski. Oh, he's not here.
Yes.
He'd be yelling at you from the news cam.
I'll put absent. Councillor Smith,
I always get picked last. Yes.
We're the wrong end of the alphabet.
I can take it.
Number 2.
Can I continue? So the second one is a resolution, and this is more of a statement because I'm really feeling like our CAO is stuck between a rock and a hard place. So we have the mayor's directives, which we know to be unlawful. We've been told to be unlawful, and a CAO's job is to uphold the law, basically, and to make sure she's doing that and following our municipal solicitor's advice. That's important for people to know. So I'm just feeling this is really putting her in a difficult position. And so Councillor Smith and I had a discussion, and we felt that this was an important statement to make, that council stands behind their CAO and her implementing decisions and policies as established by the Municipal Act and by the Township's procedural bylaws. So can you read the following?
moved by Ted Brown, second by Harold Levine, resolution, protection and support for this chief administrative officer. Whereas council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards recognizes the CAO as the municipality's head of administration responsible for the impartial and effective implementation of council's decisions and policies as established by the Municipal Act 2001 and the Township's procedural bylaw. And whereas council values and supports a workplace environment that upholds integrity, respect, and adherence to established governance procedures. And whereas recent directives and actions have created uncertainty regarding the appropriate reporting relationship, authority, and expectations placed upon the CAO and municipal staff. And whereas council affirms that all members of council, including the mayor, must act in good faith and within the scope of their statutory authority, respecting the legislative and bylaw framework that governs the municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that council formally expresses its full confidence in and support for the CAO in carrying out her statutory and bylaw duties as established by council. Council directs that all directions or requests made to municipal staff under strong mayor powers be provided in writing, copied to the CAO, and circulated to council for information to ensure transparency and accountability. Council reaffirms that the CAO is to continue implementing council-approved policies, resolutions, and bylaws, and to report to council in accordance with the established municipal governance practices. Council requests that the Integrity Commissioner and/or a municipal solicitor provide clarification on the limits of the strong mayor powers as they relate to interference with staff, administrative operations, and council-adopted policy, especially in our procedural bylaw. And council further directs that this resolution be entered into the official record and forwarded to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for awareness.
Yes.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, again, I will just make a comment. I will be voting in favor of this resolution only to the extent that it expresses support for a respectful and professional workplace. However, I want to be clear for the record that nothing in this motion can alter or supersede the statutory reporting relationship established under the Municipal Code, Municipal Act 2001, and Ontario Reg 530-22, which provides the CAO reports to the mayor on administrative matters. I will continue to carry out my duties consistent with that legislation in a manner that supports both council and staff. Now, well, there you go, please. Maureen, recorded?
No, I don't think this has to be recorded.
Okay, all those in favor?
Okay, now on to something feel good. So we're looking for some council support to, we had a economic development meeting when I was chair of the Economic Development Committee, and we talked about small cost, big impact events. And one of the things we discussed was lighting up Station Park for Christmas time. So putting up Christmas lights, and we thought we have some really keen volunteers who are willing to help with this event. We have Colton on board, so we're asking for some permission to be able to do this in Station Park. And we wanted to kick it off with something called the Holly Jolly Market, which would be a one-time night market in Station Park. It would start at 5 o'clock. I think I put 5:30 on here by accident, but it would start at 5, go to 9, and we would have the inaugural light up the park moment where all the lights would go on in the park. It would be a cute little Christmas market. Now, Colton does have some money in his budget to move around. He is looking for some permission to spend up to, I believe he's asked for $1,200 to be able to purchase some lights. But we also want to see if the community, a lot of people have Christmas decorations to spare. So put a call out to the community as well to see what we can come up with. So I know for me, I just redid my porch. I've got tons of Christmas lights to give to this cause. So some of the details have to be ironed out, of course, that will leave in Colton's capable hands, but we're sort of just looking for a permission slip for him to go ahead to be able to have that, move the money in his budget so he can spend that money on some lights, and then we would have them for future years. This could be an annual event. So it's a small cost, big impact. And those lights would stay on. We would get timers. They would be on all of December, probably into the first week of January. I heard, well, Carl said he's gonna get on the ladder and show me how it's done. So,
What you're asking for is permission.
You guys need your mics on.
What you're asking for is the permission for the $1,200?
asking for the permission for the $1,200 and also to go ahead and host this event at Station Park. So because it's the night market, it's different than a farmer's market. So Colton would of course be taking care of like those logistics, but it wouldn't be a farmer's market. This is a night market where we would want vendors to come and sell their Christmas crafts. And
Tammy, do we need a resolution for the 1,200?
I'm sorry, did you say it was in the budget already?
it's not in the budget already, but he has funds. I don't know where. That would be a discussion with Colton. Like he's not used his full budget, so he has some lines where he can move some money around to make this happen.
Usually a resolution is prepared for that. Can it wait till the next meeting?
As long as I have permission to start advertising for vendors.
Can she have permission to advertise for vendors?
Yeah,
Yes.
for the lights, like we just really want to get this out there to all of the different.
That's money that he already has in an account.
It's money that he had earmarked for other things,
Yes.
but he's willing to move it so that we can do this. And once we have the lights, we have them. It's again, it's the, and once we have the timers, we have the timers. It's the, small cost, big impact for $1,200 to have that park lit up all month long and have people stopping and hopefully driving in town.
The resolution is only a formality.
Yeah,
So-
okay. And the other thing he was asking is if we could waive the special events permit fee for this, which I'm assuming would happen anyway, because it's a municipal event.
it's a town
Okay,
event.
okay. That's okay. So we're good. It would be November the 28th, so it'd be the Friday from 5 to 9 p.m.
Everybody okay with everything she said? Yes and yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you let
And then
us know that it's okay?
And then the resolution will come at the next meeting for the $1,200.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, so council, I have presented you with a report from the Integrity Commissioner arising from a code of conduct complaint filed against Councillor Bill Smith. On page 2, you will find an overview of the complaint with Mr. Fleming's findings detailed on page 4. Mr. Fleming has concluded that no breaches were identified during the investigation and therefore no recommendations to council are required. In accordance with the Code of Conduct policy, the report will be published on the township's website under timely information / integrity commissioner section.
Comments?
You first.
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know I was going to say something.
You all say something.
Okay. The Integrity Commissioner has completed the review of my complaint regarding a member of council and determined that a breach of the code of conduct did occur. While no penalty was recommended, the finding itself is significant and reaffirms that all members of council are bound by the same
Did you
standards.
just say that he found that,
Yeah, if you look on page 6, second paragraph, third line.
we find that the member's employment with CRC was not connected to the accessible dock project. Where are you talking about? Based on the analysis above, the member did not breach the MCIA.
Page 7. Page 7, recommendations. There were no breaches identified in this investigation.
And as such, no recommendations.
So paragraph, the second last paragraph.
In making this determination, we considered that the member declared a conflict. Upon declaring the conflict, the code of conflict requires the member not take any steps. In this case, the member did in fact attempt to influence the decision after he discovered the document, but
It's a gray area.
reading.
It's a gray area.
Okay, let's go back
Can
to
I-
the recommendation. There were no breaches identified.
Right.
There were no breaches identified. They get that in your head.
Oh, continue.
Continue.
I would have preferred to discuss the matter directly with council and come to an agreed conclusion together. To that end, I submitted a formal request for a special meeting on July 16th while the circumstances were still fresh in everyone's mind, so that the issue could be addressed in an open and constructive forum. The meeting, however, was not organized, and as a result, the matter proceeded through the formal Integrity Commissioner process instead. I fully respect the Commissioner's decision and the independence of the process. My role as mayor is to uphold those standards and ensure our governance remains transparent and respectful of the rules that apply to everyone. This was never about seeking punishment. It was about reinforcing accountability and protecting the integrity of this council and the township as a whole. I followed the process exactly as outlined in our code, and I will continue to do so whenever issues of conduct or compliance arise. That is what the public expects and deserves from all of us. I remain hopeful that moving forward, council can address such matters together directly and constructively before they reach this stage.
Excuse me. Question?
So you reported this to the Integrity Commissioner. That's 2 we've had, and I think we got more coming, but how much taxpayers' dollars did you spend on this? $5,000 to $7,000 on this?
I don't know the
Well,
amount.
I don't know yet either, but I guarantee you it's $5,000 to $7,000 people are going to be paying for. Thank you, sir.
So you will recall, it was about 2 months ago that that Dave made these allegations, and I'll remind you of some of the things he said. I make notes. Serious breach of procedure, disregard for policy, undue influence over staff, serious and troubling events. And the serious and troubling events that was in response to a question of, why didn't you go and talk to him? This was too bad to go and talk to him. I had to do this. I just had to do this. That's what he said. Another quote from Dave: the public has the right to expect that decisions are made transparently, guided by established procedures, and upheld by the people who are elected. Another quote from Dave: not political. This is not political. It's about integrity, accountability, and respect for the rule of law. In those statements, I would suggest that Dave was saying, I don't respect the rule of law. I'm not accountable. I don't have integrity, and all the other crap in here. So I absolutely welcomed, and if you want to see my response to the Integrity Commissioner, I welcome it. I operate in the gray. I'm involved in the Lions Club, the Friendship Club, the CRC, all these different places. So it's likely that I could cross a line sometime. I didn't think I did in this case. I talked to Tammy just to make sure. She didn't think I was, but it's not her choice, it's my choice. I declared a conflict anyway and stepped away. There was never a CRC project in this. What the mayor has alleged in this, I'll just give you a summary, that I tried to sway council away from supporting a township project so that they would support a CRC project. There was never a CRC project. It was always a township project. It's about building a piece of municipal infrastructure on municipal land that will be owned by the municipality and maintained by the municipality. CRC, my employer, donated my time to help with this project. All I was doing was representing and working with two community members, Lynn Flockstra and Donna Marie Sobolski, who came to me as a counselor and said, we have this great idea for a township project. How do we get it? How do we get it moved forward? And so I hooked them up with township staff. I made those meetings happen so that they could come here and find out what do we do about that. The integrity commissioner in 7 pages, 7 very detailed pages, picked apart Dave's complaint and said there was no breach. There was absolutely no breach. Additionally, Dave, the mayor, in his complaint, alleged that I was having secret meetings with staff and with our auditor as well. Again, both of those were found to be untrue. I did meet with staff to facilitate you guys helping townspeople, helping the residents get access to staff. I asked our auditor a question, a point on 2 different occasions, and they were just passing in the hall kind of meetings to ask him, what did you mean by this? Or am I understanding that correctly? That's what I did. Anyway, the integrity commissioner said I did absolutely nothing wrong. There was no breach. End of story. So I don't know what the mayor's motivation was. He said it wasn't political. I question that.
Ted, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I voted in favor of the CRC project or the project that time. But the problem with the people that voted against it, and this is just for public information, at that meeting, we were not giving the whole and all the information. What the other vote was to fix the front of the building up. And with that grant, it specifically said that we would not get it if we put in for that project. We had to put in for a project like we did put in for. So just so people are aware of the other information.
Any other comments?
Well, I have one. What I kind of got from this report from the integrity commissioner was, you have an agency like the CRC donating their valuable staff time and resources. We have this agency that Bill is tremendous at writing grants, giving their time to the township. And basically, why would you report this? When there's no boundaries being crossed and you have like this generous gift being given to a municipality to create a municipal asset. So that's part of what I kind of got out of it as well. So.
Okay, and now we're going to go to Committee of the Whole.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Maureen McMillan, motion to move into Committee of the Whole. Be it resolved that council move into a closed meeting pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reason. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you for coming out, kids.